So you want to play professional hockey, eh? And why wouldn't you? The fame, the fortune, and the lifestyle, what could be better? But it's not all glamour. Becoming a professional hockey player takes hard work and dedication year-round. After 7 months, 80 regular season games, and 4 playoff games, 4-year minor league veteran Dan Jancevski returns home for another summer of hard work and training. Jancevski will need to work hard this summer to achieve his ultimate goal of making it to the NHL.
Well, just got home from the season. We lost out 4 straight to the Rochester Americans. They're a tough team. So they're #1 all year, and it's a tough loss. But other than that, it was a great year for me personally. A lot of good things happened. Set career highs in points, goals, and all that stuff. But got engaged in December and bought a new house last year, so that was kind of exciting to come home to. Now I'm just going to take a couple weeks off, go have my fast food cravings I've been missing all year, and just kind of go and blow it all out again for a couple weeks before I start working out with Matt again, and he puts me on a strict diet.
When the season's usually done, all depends obviously how far you go, whether it be April. For junior hockey, it could be May in the National Hockey League, and if you're lucky enough to win the Stanley Cup, it could be June. But what we try to concentrate on, I think everybody likes to take 2-3 weeks and just get away from the game, away from skating, and not even hard training or lifting or anything. Just basically staying active by golfing, playing some tennis, or doing any kind of activity that doesn't have anything to do with hockey, just to sort of give you a mental break and your body a physical break.
The primary location for the off-season training is Kinetics Fitness. The players train at the gym up to 5 days a week. The man behind the off-season training program is Rob Maggio, a certified personal trainer and owner of Kinetics Fitness. Rob Maggio has been in the business of training professional and amateur athletes for over 13 years. He has trained such NHL stars like Ed Jovanovski, Jason Spezza, Steve Ott, and Warren Reichel.
When I'm looking at the overview of the whole program, we use a 6-component approach. We try to identify what it requires to become an ultimate athlete. Within these areas of cardiovascular fitness, flexibility training, be it static and dynamic, strength training, performance training, which requires you to do your speed, agility, quickness, your plyometric work, and everything else that is encompassed in you becoming a better performer. We look at proper nutrition, because without that as your basis, you don't have a program. And lastly, we look at the mental conditioning approach. Way too often, we don't look at the whole, we break it up into its parts, and we don't focus in on the areas that we may need to work on, and usually those are our weak areas. So I'll make sure I'm not shy. I'll tell them exactly what they need to work on.
Maggio trains the athletes individually or in groups. 17-year-old Aaron Snow is one of the players that receive one-on-one training from Maggio.
With Rob, you get everything. He's a really good trainer. I've been with him for about four or 5 years now, and he really brings up the intensity level. He gets you ready for the next season, and I don't think many people can do that. His program is really good, and I've been on it for about 2 summers now. I've been working out at Kinetics for about 4 years, so it really brings up the intensity level.
Snow, who currently plays in the Ontario Hockey League, will spend the summer training for one of the most important years of his young hockey career, his NHL draft year. Between September 2005 and April 2006, Snow will be one of thousands of players being scouted by NHL scouts. This one-on-one training is designed to push Snow past his peers and help him reach his goal of hearing his name come draft day.
Well, I think what you're seeing right now are players have taken off-ice conditioning as something that they control to a new level, and the importance of a long season. And probably most importantly is the ability to avoid injuries, which gives them a better chance of extending their career and realizing how important now conditioning is. And you have players that probably may take 2 weeks, 3 weeks off once the season is finished and have gotten into off-ice training, to track workouts, and then to the all different parts of the body for strengthening and conditioning that'll give you a better opportunity to sustain a long season through exhibition and regular season and into playoffs. And it is so important that these players give them that opportunity to compete at the highest level, because if they're not, they're certainly at a big disadvantage.
When Maggio is training the players in groups, he breaks the players up into two groups, a 9 a.m. group and an 11:30 group. Both groups are on the same workout schedule based on the overall training schedule of the off-season. Both groups practice for an hour and a half. The players work on the upper bodies, lower bodies, as well as performing aerobic exercise.
Try and tempt me, you're never really gonna win. It seems you're out to get me, busting out the feelings within. It's unpredictable, and nothing seemed to change at all. You keep inside and judge me till the bitter end you fall. No more. Always cared for me, no matter how hard I try. Running through my thoughts is agony, this war inside my mind. Just keep to yourself, and it won't amount to nothing. The battle between us all, till the bitter end we fall. No more.
If you're not ingesting any sugar right before you go to bed, that's when you're going to start taking away your ability to go to sleep. So if you take away the sugar, even if it's a cereal, believe it or not, those have a lot of, 40, 50 teaspoons of sugar in it. So if that's the case, you're starting to dim the lights, you're shutting the TV off around 9:30, 9:45,
More like computer to 11.
Oh yeah, no electromagnetic rays at all. Gone. And so you're asleep by 10:30, ideally.
Not right now, but that's what I should say.
If you go for that tonight with a nice bath, sea salt, fill yourself up with a nice high protein steak at around 6 o'clock, organic.
Around
8 o'clock after your skate. So you got 2 days of just recovery, then we'll be ready for Friday. Sound good? Periodization is a concept that will break the summer training into specific parts. Within those parts, we usually use 3-week cycles in which we will train a specific system. In our program, what we like to do before we even get into a base program, we try to look at what we call rehab and reconditioning. After you're done a long season, there's muscle imbalances that have occurred that need to be addressed. A lot of my players will have to come in from having shoulder problems, back problems, maybe some hip flexor imbalances. We do a lot to try to improve their body's conditioning within that first 2 or 3 weeks. After that time, we start them off on a base program, which is the foundation of the whole program. Within there, we introduce the strength training, we introduce flexibility, we introduce cardiovascular type of training. There's a heavy focus on aerobic conditioning at the base training, simply because that's where you would basically establish an aerobic base. You wouldn't want to start training for an aerobic base later in the summer when you need to be speedy and explosive. So you really need to pay attention to how you're going to treat your whole program so that there's that base, and that base will lead into another phase.
On Tuesday morning, the players participate in the on-ice training component of their off-season training at Windsor Ice Park. This is the one time during the off-season training that Rob Maggio gives up total control and employs the assistance of OHL coach and former NHL defenseman DJ Smith.
I used to work out with Rob regularly in the summertime, and I was one of the guys who used to run those skates as a player, and then the players were out there skating kind of, and it's always better when someone runs the drills or whatever the case is. And I had actually talked to Bob Boughner, and he said, it'd be great if you could come out and help out with the skates. So, I came out, and I think it benefits the guys, and I like doing it. I mean, I'd much rather be out there playing, but at least I get to get out there with the guys, and hopefully it helps them get better. You loosen up a little bit, then you go into flow drills usually, get the guys touching the puck a little bit. And then, I know it's only summertime, but then we did, a couple one-on-one drills, some two-on-two, some two-on-one. Stuff guys aren't used to. Guys usually play shinny hockey all summertime, so when you get back to regular drills, it's amazing how tired the guys get that quick. So.
Maggio and Smith put the players through a number of different drills to assist the forwards, the defensemen, and the goaltenders in developing their game.
Oh, they're all good guys. I mean, like I said, I worked out with all of them, Boughner, Delmore, Greg Day, Mark Cadot. I mean, these are all guys I grew up with. And then you have the younger kids on the way up. And those are the guys I like working with now more, because I like to see the guys go on and do well. I'd like to, hopefully, in the future I can, get these guys more often. And hopefully I can have some kind of impact and maybe help them go on. If I can teach them just one thing that maybe they don't know about the pro level or junior hockey, or help them improve their feet, or whatever the case may be, I'd like to be that guy in Windsor that, you know, that can do that for these kids. Oh, huge. Just the pace of the whole thing. You know, when you get the older guys there that can move the puck at that pace, they, you know, they obviously, you know, the younger guys that think they're maybe better, or, you know, and then they can see just how much work they have to do to get to that level. Guys, how hard the guys actually work. You know, I know when I was younger, there was older guys too that used to go out and skate, Adam Graves, and you know, and then I realized how much I had to work and how much stronger I had to be playing at that level. So it does help the guys to go out and see those guys out there. The more you can get on the ice, it's still hockey, and you can train all you want, but the more you get on the ice, the better you're going to be. So ideally, you know, with a month to go, you start getting on the ice 4 or 5 times a week, so you get the early jump on guys. You know, it's a long year, but if you can get a month, you know, jump on guys, conditioning-wise, feet-wise, you know, you're that much further ahead of the guys. So, you know, I think in the years to come, I'm going to, you know, try and get as many guys, my players, as possible on the ice as much as possible. You know, and then at the end, just for conditioning, guys, you know, we give them a little skate at the end. You know, the guys that want to, you know, get better as a hockey player do it, and the guys that don't, you know, can do it kind of lackluster. But you'll see the true professional guys, the guys who really want to make money at this game and go on, are the guys that really push themselves.
All right, boys, last one for the day. No circling, gotta stop. One round. You gotta go blue line back, red line back, far blue back, all the way down the back. Go ahead, boys.
NHL defenseman Tim Gleason is one of the fittest players in professional hockey, and he knows the importance of eating the right food, not only during the season, but during the off-season as well.
Well, this is my usually daily routine. Usually have rice or chicken or steak, sometimes fish, and sometimes I also add like a fruit shake in there also. So that's about it, really. It's pretty simple. Throw my fruit shakes. I'm also in the type of a cleansing stage, really. This is actually the first time I've ever tried it. It's called isogenics. It's just a 9-day process where the first 2 days you cleanse without any food. It's more of a liquid diet, and then throughout these 7 days, or say 5 days, you got you know, a shake. The typical day would look like a shake in the morning. They give you some, which is funny, snack pills for your food in a way. They're just little chewable tablets. So you have about 6 of those a day. You have about 2 shakes a day, and you're drinking about 8 ounces of, like 8 glasses of water, usually, a day. And then the next 2 days, or the last 2 days, which is day 8 and 9, it's just back to the cleanse again. So it's working pretty good so far. It's pretty tough to go from eating to not eating. So I did pretty good with it. So. And I usually throw either like grapefruit juice in there or like a fruit punch, but I always dilute it with a little water so I believe it takes a little bit of the sugar out of it in a way, dilutes it a little bit. But I gotta tell you, I also have a little dessert saved up for myself, so it's a little chocolate pudding. That's about it. I'm gonna cook my steak here and get my rice going. That's about it. Voila. And that's it. Gotta admit, it tastes pretty good. There you go. That is my steak. Tasty. Steak medium, so in about 5 minutes it should be done. They say well done piece isn't, it's like the, like in a restaurant if you get a well done piece, it's usually the worst piece of meat, like on a slab I guess they say, so. I usually try to just, that's if they ask for a well done piece, but if you need them, they usually pick the best piece for you and they cook it pretty good. I actually got, I guess what you call it, I didn't cook a piece of chicken right about 3 weeks ago. I got a little food poison, so I always, since then, really I've been checking, make sure it's all cooked up. Well, 2 more minutes. It's all done. Well, here's a typical day. I got my steak, my protein, and I usually have wheat rice with a lot of things. Usually on a typical day also I have the chicken and fish like I was saying. So this is it. And also I got my dessert, which I always look forward to, my chocolate pudding. That's always exciting. So here it goes. See how it is. Test it out. Very nice. I'm impressed.
Another player that knows the importance of eating well is Kyle Wellwood, one of the NHL's brightest young stars who currently plays for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Feeling healthy and nutrition is a big part of hockey nowadays, and maybe not so much as kids, but when you start getting older, you're going to find that you definitely need to eat the right things before games. You know, you can't be eating pizza and hot dogs. And what you like to do is usually wake up and have a pretty good breakfast, warm yourself up, get active during the day, and maybe before dinner, 3 to 4 hours before the game, have a nice meal that's going to sit well in your stomach to give you the energy to make it through.
Your base program will lead into a strength training program. You're starting to increase your loads with weights, and if you're too young, you would use your body weight exercises as a basis, but you wouldn't worry about the actual loading of weight. You would slow down movements, you'd make it harder within that context so that you're not necessarily stunting growth or putting too much of a load on a person who still may grow. So we'll utilize different techniques on muscle building so that we don't compromise growth and development. That is very important, and if you're not paying attention to those factors, you could probably have a very negative effect on somebody's career. I've seen it happen, and hopefully I have never been responsible for anything like that. So with the plyometrics, you need to learn how to do the proper explosive techniques that are associated with that. And if you are not learning the proper techniques, you're probably not going to get the most out of your plyometric program. You can jump till you're blue in the face, but if you're not doing it with the right technique, with a solid body structure, with your core stability activated so that you are doing movements with a purpose. You're not just going about jumping and doing a whole bunch of explosive activities without knowing that your body needs to be in a certain position. So we do take pride in that part.
In hockey, you know, definitely there's a lot of things going on the ice. And one thing you try to find is just the confidence about you, and just find your skill set that you're going to be confident out there every day to go out and have that kind of background. So what you want to do is practice. I mean, definitely when I go out there and you know, not just regular practice with my teammates and stuff where you're just doing drills. You want to be competitive with your other teammates and just go out there and have fun, and things will start happening naturally. Yeah, definitely a lot of people, you know, they say stuff like rollerblading and playing with the tennis ball, and you know, they basically tell you to concentrate on ice hockey, but you know, all those things are good for you. Playing rollerblade, you can learn to stop differently, and gives you better footwork, I feel, and even stick handling with the tennis ball, you know, just it's the same motion, and it even gives you a big advantage when you get out there with the puck. It makes it seem a lot easier.
Well, starting probably even at younger ages right now, that I see players are getting involved in having a personal trainer to show them the proper way of training, how to lift properly, how to stretch properly, and then most importantly, get the right nutrition into you, is a head start above a lot of other guys that just think that they can show up and put in time and be able to compete. It's not that way anymore compared to the old days where you had a month of training camp of 2 days, you got yourself in shape. Now you're going into a training camp and you may have 3, 4, maybe 5 days before you're into exhibition games, and that to me just tells how important your off-ice training is in order to prepare you for that.
Once you're done your strength phase, you enter into the speed and power phase, and this is where we can get very sports specific. That's the fun part. This is where we really go crazy on interval work, not only indoors but outdoors. We start utilizing the hill that we have in our city, which is basically an old garbage dump, but it works. We start utilizing the track in regards to their explosive linear power. There's a great correlation between the speed that you obtain running and the speed that you can obtain on the ice. So knowing that, the mechanics that would allow you to become a great runner are very closely related to the mechanics that would make you a great skater. One of the things that we do in the speed and power phase is we decrease the amount of time that they're working out for. It would be impossible to kick butt for 2.5 hours straight. So we shrink down the amount of time that they're spending in the gym, and we highly intensify the program. Within that parameter, guys are working as hard as they can for short periods of time. We introduce circuits into their program so that they're doing a lot of specific sport reactions that would make them better players. Also within the speed and power phase, I make sure that they graduate into another speed and power phase in which we start introducing more ice workouts, more things that would allow them to start transferring everything they'd learned in the gym to the ice. If there isn't that transfer, that's where the problems become apparent. And so we take pride in our program to try to start them off with a very broad base and then slowly but surely introduce the parameters necessary for them to be explosive come camp.
The players meet every Friday morning at the Windsor Stadium to participate in the dry land training. The Windsor Stadium, which has a seating capacity for 3,000 people, has hosted everything from high school football games to minor pro soccer games, to track and field events, to a Beach Boys concert in the mid-1980s. Training begins at 9 a.m. and normally lasts about an hour. The temperature is normally in the mid to high 80s by this time. The guys begin with a stretch before a light jog around the stadium. Once that is complete, Maggio puts the players through a number of different training drills. On most occasions, the training is done on the infield grass. Maggio always leads the dry land training.
3 burpees, 3.
Sprinting is a very important aspect of the dry land training. The players are expected to sprint at full speed from the goal line to the 50-yard line. The players also take turns running the length of the field 3 times. This helps build the players' endurance. On other occasions, the guys train in the stands. Maggio runs them through a number of drills to improve their speed and power. The drills also work the players' cardiovascular system and help them prepare for the 45-second to 1-minute shifts during the hockey season. The players are normally done at the track by 10 a.m. and many of the players head over to Kinetics Fitness to continue their training before taking a break over the weekend.